embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com. If you're sick of catering from the same places every month, it's time to switch things up. Mulberry Barbecue is perfect for business lunches and dinners, family gatherings, holiday parties, wedding receptions, rehearsal dinners, and so much more. Delivery and full service options are available, and they can cater for anything from 10 people to 500 people. Call them at 402-937-7114 to hear their menu options and get your catering booked today. Mulberry Barbecue, located at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
The Adam Carricker Show.
That is what the 12-team playoff does. It makes the end of the regular season more exciting until we realize, hey, the teams that are 10 through 12 are just going to get killed. So getting in doesn't really matter. All that doesn't matter is Oregon-Ohio State regular season. Matchup doesn't matter. Ohio State-Michigan, that rivalry's now been devalued. And to me, that's what I see.
Live every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 12 to 1 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Early break.
And I would race to something warm, like just a burger or something that would warm my food.
A burger. Hold it, I'm having a break for someone give me a cheeseburger.
Well, you're the Dairy Queen.
Give me a cheeseburger. Burger me.
The Slurpees I got were red raspberry from Dairy Queen, and usually you can get something warm there. Fries, just give me your fries, quick.
Early break from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Cobble Chevrolet GMC, and we wanted to give a special shout out to all of our great customers, thanking you all for a record-setting year in 2024. Now let's get the new year rolling with some big savings. Right now at Cobble, we have some of the biggest discounts in the area with over $12,000 off list price or 0% APR on select new models. So stop on in the dealership or hit us up online at cobblecars.com to get true low country overhead in action. $12,000 off list or 0% APR right now at Cobble. So please stop on in or visit us at cobblecars.com. You'll be glad you did.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by NEPCO. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
That it is. Day 2 of a fantastic football weekend is today. Lots to get into on the football front. Some hoops and more coming up on today's show. I'm Austin Orman. He's Eric Strickland. You are the Blockheads. We appreciate you. We love you. We want you to be a part of the show. 402-464-5685. The Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, or drop a comment on any of our streams. Again, brought to you by Starter Heyman Jewelers. Stricky back in the building. How you feeling, partner? You good?
Yeah.
You all good? You
Wonderful, and can't say that enough. Enjoy just a wonderful night of football on last night. And I definitely know we're going to get into that. But it is a pretty good topic of the day, which is Freestyle Friday is jumping off. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we got on the agenda for that. But in the meantime, in between time, there's a wonderful NEB company that we absolutely appreciate and love. We're grateful for them and their continued support. NEPCO, Construction, Real Estate, and Recreation. We thank them for the sponsorship of On the Block. Shout out to Rashawn Jackson, the captain, listening in. My boy, yes, got a chance to watch you a little bit earlier today as well, man. We love our members here, 93.7 The Ticket. We appreciate you as listeners as well. And we're just grateful for the opportunity to be able to get before you and to share our takes and what we have thinking on our mind.
That is the truth. What's on your mind, Stricky? Let's freestyle it. What you got today? Lead us off.
Oh, man. Do I get to lead it off today?
Yeah.
Is it going to be
You always
me?
lead us off. You're the Husker Hall of Famer.
Oh,
you lead us off.
man.
What you do?
Okay. I made some notes here. Okay. Freestyle Friday. Let's get it started. I think I want to start off with this because this has happened before. Obviously, we know when Katrina hit. We now know what's going on with the LA fires. We also know that when there's been troubles, to include what happened out there for the Las Vegas situation when they had the shooting, and 9/11, what that did. Now, in those instances, it was kind of different, Austin, in that it inspired a city to get behind one another, to care about one another, to support and join in unison for whatever their teams were, usually on the professional level, because it's a little bit broader scale. But then there's situations where things happen to a building, to a stadium, to an area that inhibits them from being able to, play those games, to get that support. Now, my question then becomes, Austin, does that hinder? Does it hurt? What is the monetary issues that come with it as well? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Just kind of broadly throwing it out there, being that now the Rams and the Vikings are going to be playing in Arizona now. What are those implications?
Well, it's not ideal, right? The whole point of winning a division is to get that home field advantage in the first round, right? So a little bit of that is negated. Now, of course, the Vikings still have to travel. So do the Rams. It's closer to Los Angeles than it is to Minneapolis. And it's a building the Rams are familiar with, right? They go there every year, so that they somewhat know their way around the facilities. That's where I'd be curious to know, do the Rams want to continue to use the visitors' locker room because that's what they're familiar with? Or are they obligated to use the home team's locker rooms in a neutral site game like this, and the Rams being the higher seed and thus the home team? It's never a good thing. I think we can agree when a team has to relocate like this because of natural disaster, because of man-made disaster, whatever it is. It's never good, right? Rams fans deserve the chance to see their team at home. It's a pain in the butt to have to line up another flight, line up a hotel, travel when you should have had a home game. It's the NFL making the best of the circumstance, right? A pretty horrific circumstance that we pray gets over soon, that gets handled in the best way possible as quickly as possible. I think to some degree, Strick, it can be a rallying moment for a team, right? Give them that bigger purpose, something to play for, what have you. But it adds an extra challenge into the mix of having extra travel, logistics that you have to take care of, being away potentially from your family for a little bit. It just throws things off, out of whack and out of usual. And I think a few years ago, that might have bothered the Rams a little bit more than now, right? Yeah. Think about Sean McVay, the control freak that he was when the Rams went to their first Super Bowl. I think Sean McVay has loosened up a little bit, and I think he's a better coach for it. Yeah, he's still scheming and dreaming. Yeah, he's still the offensive mastermind. But I think Matthew Stafford has been good for Sean McVay in that way. I think Sean McVay's just grown up and matured in the game of football a little bit. So, no, it's not ideal for anyone. But what's the line? The show must go on. You don't have a second to stop and catch your breath. The NFL needs to find a way to get a game like this in to keep everything else on schedule. Because as devastating and horrifying as it is, it's affecting one team in the league right now, right? The Chargers are already on the road at Houston, so they're not impacted. It's just the Rams, that would have been hosting the Vikings. So it's unfortunate for all involved, and more than just unfortunate for the people who've lost their homes, property, lives, what have you in the fire. Unfortunate for the Rams to have to go on the road, but hey, guess what? Let's see how well they can handle the adversity. Let's see how well they can pack their mentality. It's still technically, a home game for them. They do come in with a higher seed, even though they are a worse record. And in terms of revenue, Strick, I would really be curious to see how this works because I don't think the NFL can just say, oh, yeah, the Rams get the gate like they would for a home game.
Right.
Because the Cardinals are offering up their facility. Maybe the league said, hey, you see what's going on. Even if you don't want to offer it up, like, come on, we got to use it. Right.
Yeah. Is it in there? That's the thing. Is there a charge for that? Like,
I would assume that it's going to be Cardinals concession staff, I assume.
Right.
Running that, Cardinal security staff running all of that, I can only assume. So I think that it is only fair to the Cardinals to get a little bit of it, right? Did they get 10%, 15, 20? I don't know. But it can't just go all to the Rams and split it evenly with the Vikings. I don't know how the NFL revenue structure works, but I think it would be a sign of good faith from the NFL and from the Rams to make sure that the Cardinals are getting a little bit of a kickback for making this possible. Because guess what? They could have gone
ground crew, all of that.
They could have gone to Seattle. They could have gone to Vegas. They could have gone to San Francisco, but they're going to Arizona and to the Dome. So I would like to see the Cardinals get a little something back for, making sure the show does go on, but it can't be over the top because I still think the Rams, having made the playoffs, deserve the majority of the benefit from that.
Yeah. Yeah. That was just an interesting thing. What say you? 402-464-5685.
Tricky question.
It's just an interesting thing to think about. How does that play? What, very similar. And part of that came to mind, Austin, by way of the college football playoff, that whole situation.
Yeah.
Where now the home team, you would think, should deserve the benefit of it. They get neutral, whereas the first get rolling. They get
home gate.
Home gate, get to stay in that whole cycle as well. So I think that's it's just kind of a wild situation, but it's just a thought.
Captain on YouTube, who's better, me or LeBum?
In what, Captain?
Justin Rogge says, in a shouting contest, it's you all day, VJ.
It's definitely you, VJ. Your takes are a little bit, better, I would say, than even his. So yeah, I got to roll with the captain on that one.
We flowing to me now, Stricky?
Yeah, man. Let's go.
Okay. Husker football. We were going to talk about this a little bit yesterday, but of course they get the commitment from Elijah Pritchett, the tackle who played on the right side at Alabama. And I just want to take a second to look at kind of the overview for the offensive line here, Strick. At one point, Nebraska was in the running for a transfer center from Michigan. Sounds like he's not coming to Nebraska. He committed to Missouri a few weeks ago now. So with the addition of Pritchett, and of course, Nebraska is still pursuing that dude with the last name, Shiaz Pete, I think it is, from New Mexico State. Mm-hmm. Let's say Nebraska just lands Pritchett, and that's the only offensive lineman addition they make. Would you rather, Strick, have Nebraska keep him where he's more comfortable at right tackle, where he played all 13 games for Alabama last year, or he was the number one tackle in his class? He does have that SEC experience. Would you be willing to give him a shot at left tackle, even though Gunnar Gatula played, respectively, in the absence of Turner Corcoran and Teddy Prohaska there at left tackle?
Well, I think you definitely want to assess whether or not he would go to the left side. That would be something that I would be highly intentional on finding out if that was the case. The reason being for me is have you seen his stature and body?
That's a big boy.
Like
that's
not just even a big. He's like very athletically for his size, very athletically. I would love to check his footwork, but I think Raiola has done a tremendous job in what he's been gifted and given, and bringing new guys in and making that unit get better, I think, over time. I mean, obviously they're not dominant, they're not there yet, but they're definitely serviceable. They've given enough time. I think I would even say that they've given enough time in the indecision phases of Dylan Raiola being a young quarterback, going through these mistakes. That hesitation, I think he had more time, but he held the ball in situations which got him in trouble, right?
Yeah.
I think they gave him lanes, throwing lanes. I think they gave him looks. I think they gave him pockets to be able to step in and make some, and sometimes they crashed. But I would like to see him probably assess whether or not that was the case on the left side.
I think it doesn't hurt to try him at left tackle, right? Because if you can get that blindside protector locked in, you can do that. Everyone, I mean,
that's where the money spot is.
Right?
If you want to be a top notch, yeah, you can do it on the right. But if you want that top dollar and that big draft opportunity, you want to learn that left side. You've got time. You've got a couple of years too.
Right.
So
if it doesn't work at left tackle, guess what? You know he has experience at right tackle. You can slide him around to the other side, where again he played at Alabama. And then, Strick, we get into the conversation of the interior of the line. I think we all feel pretty good about Henry Lutovsky at right guard, right? He was fine this year. Didn't really notice him, didn't really say his name a whole lot. And I think that's a great sign for an offensive lineman, right? Justin Evans was a guy that wasn't perfect. I wasn't as impressed with him this year as I was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see, especially with that Michigan guy committing to Missouri, if Justin Evans gets the first look at center. That's what I think is most likely. He was the backup center's taking some reps there as well. So that leaves your center filled, your right guard filled, one of the tackle spots filled. Gunnar Gatula is the interesting guy for me. Did he show you enough at left tackle that you're okay, giving him the first shot at right tackle? Or do you want Gunnar Gatula to stick on the left side of the line, lock down left guard, and then just kind of be that swing guy that can play wherever he's needed?
I like that for him. He seems to have great versatility there. I think he's worthy of definitely a look. I would love if those two could shore up the left side. We see that there are some dominant choices on how the run game operates, and I think you saw some mix-ups in that. What I mean by that is you've seen tendencies from coaches, and then they get into a big game or a one-off game, a bowl game, and you'll see them break tendencies in order to throw DCs off. Don't think that DCs don't look at tendencies.
Most of their job.
It's two ways about it. One, we're so strong and we're so confident on this left side. All things just normal hats, not extras in the box, not corners safeties coming down on that left side where it doesn't make sense to run left. You know what I mean? But you have normal hats on guys in a blocking, whether it's a block down with a pull or it's a wham block or with the tight end, whatever it is, right? We're going to dominate you, and it doesn't matter what you're going to do because this is our strong suit on this side. Or we're going to go the opposite of the tendencies that will throw you off. So if it's a 3rd and 2 or even a 4th and 2, you pretty much got an idea that we're either going to go quarterback, but it's going to go to the left side, and then you go right with some form of action. And I like the versatility part, Austin, of the opportunities to be able to move those guys around. But I would like to see a good solid group shored up on that left side. You feel confident with Gatula on the outside, but if you put him on the inside with how well that he did, with the abilities to move around based on any weaknesses that present themselves on the line.
I think the other couple guys to keep in mind here, Gibson Pyle and Grant Bricks, pretty highly touted recruits that we talked with our guy Brian Munson about quite a bit over the course of the last year. What did they get done over their redshirt years? Are they ready to contribute at some point? And then, Strick, before we get back to you for Freestyle Friday here, Big Haas on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line says, what about Teddy P? Is he coming back? Teddy Prohaska? Strick, again, I don't want to be callous, but I really don't see a path, right? Teddy Prohaska is just too tall and too injury prone. Teddy Prohaska, to me, is in the same boat entering this year as Gabe Ervin was last year. Anything you get from him is a bonus. I have no expectations for Teddy Prohaska. I don't expect him to be a part of this team's future. I don't expect him to be on the field because I think he's too big and because I think he's too injury prone. So if you want him around because you like him in the locker room, you like him for the culture, okay, fine. I can't necessarily fault you or blame you for that. He does have a few moments of good tape at Nebraska. But I think guys like that have been on campus 3 or 4 years, those are guys too, Stricky, that might not have a roster spot as we move into this 105 player era because coaches will just say, hey, sorry, just the nature of the business, right? We can't depend on you to stay healthy. We can't depend on you to stay on the field. we can't afford to give you a roster spot just because you're a good guy, a nice kid, a local guy.
Yeah.
I get why Nebraska wanted Teddy Prohaska at one time. And yeah, in the few games he played as a freshman or redshirt freshman, you saw some decent tape. But Teddy Prohaska is not the answer for Nebraska. And that's another guy, Strick, that I just am in the boat of. I'm just kind of done hearing about him. Until he actually does something consistently on the field, I don't even want to consider him a part of the mix right now.
Okay, yeah, it's understandable, and I think there's some things that we're going to talk about that I'll address that even further as we go a little bit along down the line. As we're closing off Freestyle Friday, I got one more, and I think my guy Austin has one more. I'm looking at what's happening down in Texas, and this is something that kind of came to mind as we started this playoff run, as the injuries happened there, as we got a chance to see Arch Manning for a couple of games. There has been discussion that Sark was able to keep them, one, by the NIL payment. If you look at it, Arch is at about 6 and Quinn is at about 4 something. And so you have to assume that there's been a promise. We don't know the full details, but there's speculation out there. Some pundits have spoken on that there is this very possible that he has an assurance that he's going to be the lead guy going into the 2025 season. Mm-hmm. That then creates a quarterback controversy. They were able to mitigate that and deal with that pretty well, I think. Mm-hmm. Better than probably any program that I've seen as of late, especially within this NIL era. I now look around and I say, but what happens, similar to what happens with coaches, mm-hmm. A coach that has been on the hot seat, makes a crazy run, ends up getting an opportunity. You can even look at Harbaugh. What happened there? Man, they were looking for Harbaugh's head, and then all of a sudden, boom, something clicks, and it changes the whole.
Well, you know what clicked, right? Connor Stallion's camera.
Well, of course,
click.
That is Spygate. But I look at this controversy and I say, okay, if they win the Natty, mm-hmm. what do you do? Do you just say bye-bye? Like NSYNC?
Bye.
You know, I mean, do you do that? Or does it create this, right? Does it create this situation between yours and now? Because you have to have probably a discussion with Arch, because all of a sudden now there's going to be people that are going to be saying, what are you doing? Do you want to address that? So that's why I feel, Austin, on that situation. Is it a situation where if he comes close, you continue to move on? If he loses, you continue to move on. He's played well. You don't actually win that game if it wasn't for Quinn Ewers, because the kicker, you win it if the kicker does what he's supposed to do in that situation, but he didn't. But you don't win if he didn't play better in that second half. So that's going to be something to think about. But Belichick's got $20 million. So I'm going to put it out there. If they don't win the Natty, I think Quinn Ewers goes to North Carolina.
This is a fascinating situation to monitor, Strick, because how many programs in the country could move off of a guy that's led them to back-to-back college football playoff semifinals appearances, and you can't necessarily say they're automatically in the wrong for doing it? Do I love the look? Absolutely not, right? Mm-hmm. It would be a really tough look for Texas to run Quinn Ewers off and hand it over to Arch. Let's say they go 9-3 next year with Arch as the starting quarterback. Were they guaranteed to go 11-1 or 12-0 with Quinn Ewers? Absolutely not. But if Arch looks like a freshman, looks like he's got his first extended action, the book's out on him, something like that. Not to say there's buyer's remorse or seller's remorse in this case.
A lot of questions.
But you can understand the move that Texas would make to go to Arch Manning. But how many programs would kill to keep Quinn Ewers, right? A guy who has been somewhat fairly maligned for missing some throws here and there, but I think unfairly maligned too, Strick. Like, he balled out in the 2 games Texas had against Alabama before joining the SEC. Quinn Ewers was not the reason Texas lost those games. Quinn Ewers kept Texas in those games. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to watch the Quinn Ewers saga unfold, because I think a lot of people were legitimately rooting on his downfall. This kid out of high school, hot shot. has a mullet and everything. He has an NIL deal as he steps foot on campus with Ohio State. I think there were a lot of people rooting against Quinn Ewers. And I think Quinn Ewers has handled everything with grace and class for the most part, at least publicly, especially with the saga going on with Arch Manning sitting behind him. And if I'm Quinn Ewers, how would I feel if Texas pushed me? I said, we're going to go with Arch. Dude, I just helped you at 2 straight college football playoff semifinals. Why are you pushing me out the door? And I think there's a lot more risk in that for Texas than there is Quinn Ewers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't seem like he's headed to the NFL draft. Still could. Wouldn't shock me if he did. But I think Quinn Ewers is going to be in the Carson Beck mode of his team was successful. He wasn't necessarily the key reason his team was successful, or at least that's the narrative, right? The traits are still there. I think enough of the tape is still there that Quinn Ewers could go and get drafted into the NFL. But if Texas moves on from Quinn Ewers, they want to go with Arch. I think Quinn Ewers would probably be well served to go find another college program where he can be the guy. There can be attention on him, eyeballs on him. He can elevate a team like North Carolina in your instance that hasn't necessarily been to those heights before. But I also wouldn't blame Quinn Ewers for saying, I feel kind of disrespected. I just want to go straight to the league, right? I don't want to mess around in college. I don't want to risk anything going wrong necessarily. I'm comfortable with what I put on tape. I'm confident in how I've handled the situation as well, and I think teams see it the same way. But to me, again, it just comes back to Quinn Ewers has options. It seems like Texas has options between the two of them, but there's a lot more pressure on Texas to get this quarterback decision right than there is on either one of these two quarterbacks individually.
Well, yeah, that's no question about that. The thing that comes to mind though is when you got that kind of money, you can build, you can do a Mel Tucker type situation, right? You can go out there in that portal and find it. If you're Quinn Ewers too, if you're not 1 to 4 as far as the quarterbacks are concerned, you have $6 million on the table, possibly. That's what they're saying around there. Why would you go in? Because right now you're fighting against Cam Ward and Shador as far as the quarterback, as the lead quarterbacks right now out there. You're probably not going to be drafted before them. So that's going to put you in second, third round or late first, depending on the need, possibly. And then you've got to say, well, where does he rank in the quarterback totem pole? Where does he rank right now? What is going to be his show? Can he make all the throws? I think he can. But then you because if you don't, I think if you're a fourth, I think a third, fourth rounder, fifth round.
Did you say he has like $6 million on the table?
Yeah, I think he's
rumored
leverageable.
To be?
Yeah, rumored.
Okay. Well, Carson Beck just got what was rumored to be 1 year, $4 million. So who would you rather have, Quinn Ewers for $6 million or Carson Beck for $4 million?
I think there's still a lot of uncertainty with Carson Beck right now, just with the injury situation. So I would probably say Quinn.
Okay.
If you've got it, like, I mean, if you've got large paperwork, he may not get up to it, but I think he gets above where he's at now at 4.
Okay. So let's take that $6 million figure for 1 year. The 93rd overall pick in the NFL draft for 2025, Strick. So that this draft, if you are the 93rd overall pick, your guaranteed money is $6,001,134.
Right.
Pick 94 is $5,985,082. So Quinn Ewers can make as much in 1 year as the guys that are picked 93rd and 94th do over the course of the first 4 years before their option gets picked up. You have to go to, as I scroll back up the list here, to make $6 million per year, like just 1 year, Strick. The first pick that dips below $6 million is the number 6 overall pick. So if you're a top 5 pick, you're making 6.4 in year 1. You're making $8 million year 2, 9.6 in year 3, and then 11.2 in year 4 for being pick number 5.
He's probably not going to be there.
I agree.
So that's why I think he's his mindset. Go ahead.
No, that's all I had on this. Just looking at some of those numbers. So
this is why some of these guys are staying. You're asking questions. People out there thinking like, why would you stay? Bruh, why would you not? with the NIL situation the way it is. Okay.
Right. We'll just wrap up with this from Doug with mesothelioma on the text line. He says, this is somewhat like the Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck situation. Do you see it that way, Strick?
I'm not there on that one, but I can understand where he comes up with that conclusion. I'm not going to say that's the case. That's a tough one. Well, I think they would, if they could have, they would have probably wanted to go to him a little bit earlier. But then there's so many of those stories. I mean, you could look at Favre, Rodgers. There's so many of those stories that you can look at.
Rodgers love.
I think, right. I think it's good if you're in a good organization. If you're smart, learn, watch, observe. Mm-hmm. There's probably no one greater at calling the audible. Like, we know that Andrew Luck's arm was way bigger than Peyton Manning's, but Peyton he understood all the nuances and the
Oh, and Peyton stayed healthy till the end.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
I see where you're coming from, Doug, but I don't think that that's necessarily the situation, because don't forget, Andrew Luck didn't sit behind Peyton Manning. The Colts had Peyton Manning have surgery 1 year. That's the year they tanked. And then they didn't have Andrew Luck in the bag when they decided to let Peyton Manning walk. Okay, so that to me is the big key difference here, is that Texas knows what it has behind its guy right now, which leads me to believe, Strick, it's a little more Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes than anything. Now, we've seen more from Arch Manning already than Patrick Mahomes showed his first year really behind Alex Smith. I think Alex Smith is also a better pro quarterback than Quinn Ewers has been a college quarterback so far. But in that situation, you at least had the other guy in the building, right? The Colts didn't have Andrew Luck in the building with Peyton Manning. So that's where for Texas, they got to evaluate their own guys in their roster for next year. Which quarterback gives them the best chance to capitalize on next year's roster and that year's SEC? For the Chiefs, it was, is Patrick Mahomes ready, right? Alex Smith was a darn good quarterback when Kansas City let him go. There's a reason he had success in Washington even after that point. But Andy Reid said, yep, Patrick Mahomes is the future. We're comfortable with where he's at. So, Alex Smith, we appreciate everything you've done for us. And they were right. I would even say, the Colts weren't necessarily wrong, but the Colts weren't as right as the Chiefs were. It's just a very, very tricky line to walk for Texas for next year, but also, Strick, other recruits, other families, other quarterbacks are paying attention to how Texas handles this, and specifically how Sarkisian handles it.
Yeah, agreed. But I know we got to get out of here. I can't elaborate too deep on it, but I agree with you.
I just want to shout out Ethan Frank. Was informed of this by Ryan with Diode Tech. Ethan Frank grew up in Omaha, Papillion, played for the Lancers junior team clubs, played for our beloved Lincoln Stars as well. Played some college hockey at Western Michigan, in the AHL, tearing it up. Just got called up to the Washington Capitals today.
Shout out to him.
How about that? Nebraska hockey represents in the nation's capital. We'll go to break, some college football playoff reaction when we get back.
Follow Austin, Strick, and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call
John Henry's. 435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
An hour ago, you didn't need a plumber. Now you're in a panic. When life throws you a surprise with a clogged drain, plugged or leaky toilet, broken pipe, leaky faucet or water heater, or a bathroom or kitchen plumbing upgrade, whatever. Just call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. Keep that number handy, 467-1111. Or go to BryantLincoln.com. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Cobble Chevrolet GMC, and we wanted to give a special shout out to all of our great customers, thanking you all for a record-setting year in 2024. Now let's get the new year rolling with some big savings. Right now at Cobble, we have some of the biggest discounts in the area with over $12,000 off list price or 0% APR on select new models. So stop on in the dealership or hit us up online at cobblecars.com to get true low country overhead in action. $12,000 off list or 0% APR right now at Cobble. So please stop on in or visit us at cobblecars.com. You'll be glad you did.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Automotive Solutions is Lincoln's one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs, from vinyl wraps to engine repair and maintenance. Automotive Solution offers fleet services as well as printing and graphic design for vinyl applications, plus installation of vinyl for boats, trucks, cars, and anything else you want wrapped. Perfection is their standard, and they never settle for less. Call today at 531-249-5600 or go to automotivesolutionslincoln.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions, 2040 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Have you heard about Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center? Located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard, Advanced Medical Imaging offers compassionate, patient-focused care and provides outpatient surgery services, making it possible to have non-emergency surgery and return home the same day. Advanced Medical Imaging specializes in cardiology, vascular radiology, orthopedics, pain management, and so much more. Give them a call today at 402-261-1085 or online at amimaging.com.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Well, in the matchup of the two programs that can't win the big one of them had to. Turns out it's Notre Dame. 27-24 Fighting Irish takes down the Nittany Lions, Austin Norman and Eric Strickland. With you, Stricky, Notre Dame gets down 10-0. They dominate the middle eight, score those 10 points before Penn State has a chance to touch the ball again. They go up 17-10. Penn State rips off a 14-0 run. But it was a game where basically whoever had the ball last was going to win the game. Turns out that's Notre Dame. They get the touchdown where a couple defensive backs fall down. They kick the field goal from 41 yards, Mitch Jeter. Stricky, I watched that. I thought that was going to bend right. I thought that was slicing right.
Yeah, it did kind of slice out and then did a curve.
That was a cutter.
Like a slider.
Like it was right back inside the right upright from 41 yards. Notre Dame takes the lead, and they end up winning. Just your overall reaction and takeaways from this game.
First of all, shout out to Xavier Watts. Had a tremendous game, 8 tackles, 5 solo. Omaha Burke product. He was the defensive MVP in the last one, but he's a leader on that team, and shout out to him. Shout out to Marcus Freeman as well, as just doing a tremendous job and keeping his team focused, honed in. And this was a great game, Austin. I actually enjoyed this game. I was sleepy. And everything in me wanted to go to just close my eyes, but I couldn't because the game was just so good. Carter just balled out with a bad shoulder. Guys made plays.
Love comes back with the knee brace on.
Yeah, right. Got the touchdown. It was so many things in that, and shout out to Christian Gray, who made an absolute great play. You in some ways feel bad for Franklin. You in some ways feel bad for Drew Aller because that was a huge mistake, throwing back across the field
after a double clutch late.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you could tell it bothered him, how that hinders him going forward mentally. That sometimes that can weigh on you. But I was proud to just watch how those young men competed, how they played. Penn State gave it what they could give it. And this, to me, sets the Drew Aller, who struggled. I think he also missed many opportunities. He had two wide open guys for touchdowns. One early in the game,
the one to Singleton
that could have
on
opened
third down.
That could have opened up some things for them.
That's the same thing they did against Boise.
Yeah,
Strick, they go 14-0. They get the fumble. They're in prime position. Then Aller just drops the ball in the backfield. Right? Penn State had a chance to put Boise away a lot earlier. They didn't do it. It actually came back to bite them this time against Notre Dame.
That's exactly right. So the question that I have, Austin, when I look at this thing is, let's just look at it from the Penn State side. What does this say about the program at Penn State? And how do you feel about Coach Franklin? Is this considered to be a step in the right direction? Because they haven't been here. It's been a long. We talked about them even winning a natty going back to what, now 88,
something like that. Yeah,
right.
A minute.
So would you consider this a step in the right direction? First part of that question. Second part of that question I have to you on the other side of the coin, being at Notre Dame, does this now solidify the idea of them maintaining their independence?
I think we talked about the Notre Dame angle a little bit more yesterday. And yes, I think this is a good case for Notre Dame to stay independent. I think that they got their way. And the closest thing we'll ever get to Notre Dame as a conference is if we go to that 2 tiers of Division 1A, whatever it is.
Similar
model,
to like
the Power
professional
4
model.
split away, something like that. Yeah, Notre Dame will be in there, but they're not joining a conference as we know it today. I'm glad you asked that about Penn State because I know the takeaway is going to be James Franklin continues to choke away, can't win the big one. They think that's 16 of their last 17 games they've lost as an underdog, which not that they're underdogs very often, but they're underdogs against the top teams. They just can't seem to get over that kind of hump. I do think it is a step in the right direction for the program, though, Strick, because they beat SMU in the first round. They beat Boise in the second round. And yes, Penn State probably should have beat those teams. There's a reason they were favored in those games. And Penn State really hasn't had any trouble as a favorite consistently, right? They take care of business is what they do. This feels to me a little bit like Taj Boyd Clemson under Dabo Swinney, right? Can you win some big games where there's always going to be that one game that keeps them out of elite tier? How does Penn State find out a way to get over that hump? That's up to James Franklin to determine. But I don't want to have the James Franklin big game conversation right now because I thought Penn State, like you said, missed some opportunities, but generally played pretty well. I didn't like James Franklin's attitude in the press conferences. You can tell Marcus Freeman didn't like it either. But that's just kind of who James Franklin is at this point. Needs to win a big game at some point. But let's not forget, Penn State had 2 new coordinators this year. Their defensive coordinator, Manny Diaz, leaves them in the offseason to go take the Duke job. So who do they bring in? They bring in Tom Allen, and then they bring in Andy Kotelnicki as the offensive coordinator, who did some really fun stuff with Kansas and Jalen Daniels a couple of years ago. Penn State's offense wasn't elite. It just required staying on schedule, right? And I thought for the most part, they did that. I think getting better on offense is going to be the way for Penn State to maybe break through a little bit. But year one of new coordinators, you win 2 college football playoff games. And even if you discount those 2 wins, they made the Final Four, something they never did in the 4-team college football playoff era. And that is a step in the right direction for that program, making it back to essentially the baseline of what we had for the previous decade. Before we go to break, Strick, I do want to hit this from Tommy. Appreciate you chiming in here, Tommy. He says, "Afternoon, gentlemen. I know this will come off as hindsight is 2020, but the way Penn State struggled with the passing game, why not try and take it to overtime? It feels like Penn State would have limited a shortcoming." Do you like the aggressiveness from Penn State? Do you think they should have backed it off and played for OT?
No, I mean, I think you're in that situation. I can't fault teams for going and trying to be aggressive in that situation. OT is a very uncertain thing to me. Those windows get smaller, and here's the thing. Here's the quick thing about that part. It seemed like a reversal of the styles of play. Notre Dame, who seemed to be a better running team than a passing team, they were throwing the ball a little bit more. Whereas vice versa, Penn State seemed to have a little bit more success. But no, let me just say, Penn State was more balanced. There was a slightly balanced. But here's the issue. I thought they had receivers that could not, outside of the big tight end,
Tyler Warren.
Outside of Tyler Warren, there's no one that they had from the outside that could create separation.
Do you know how many catches Penn State wide receivers had last night? 0.
Right.
0 catches by wide receivers.
They were blanketed.
I don't care if it's Dion, Darrell Revis, Ed Reed, and Troy Polamalu in that defensive backfield. Your receivers had no catches. Credit Notre Dame, but Penn State, come on.
That part. And I think this is why I think they're looking to address this thing in the transfer portal. And I think they're going to go all in the wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm. This is where you take the theory, the in theory, and the in practice into consideration. Because in practice, Penn State wasn't having a great day throwing the ball. If you can get Tyler Warren isolated, like Travis Kelce, like George Kittle, even Mark Andrews, right? If you can guarantee you can get him in a one-on-one matchup and you're going to take your chances throwing to that guy, I don't hate the decision from Penn State. Given that you had just given up, what was it? You just stopped Notre Dame and forced them to punt the possession before.
You took them out of field goal range.
Yeah, you took them out of field goal range. With your punt, there was an okay punt, but Notre Dame drives a little bit. You knock them backwards at the end of the drive. Notre Dame forced to punt. It's a long field, but I don't hate the strategy from Penn State in trying to win the game in regulation. You have a quarterback that you think you trust. You have a matchup nightmare at tight end who had been having a pretty good game at that point. And Drew Aller, for the most part,
and running game wasn't bad either.
Running game wasn't bad. I mean, they start that drive off with a 13-yard run from Singleton.
Yeah.
So it was all there on the table for him. I'm gonna try to get Drew Aller's stats pulled up here this year. So Drew Aller on the year, 24 touchdowns against 8 interceptions. That's a pretty darn good ratio. That tells me that's a guy that makes pretty darn good decisions overall. And then in 2023, 25 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's a 49-10 touchdown to interception ratio coming into the game. And yes, this is where those stats would tell you have a guy that makes pretty darn good decisions with the ball. He's not going to put it in harm's way. But then in practice, the actual game experience, Strick, was Notre Dame picked him off 2 other times, and they both got called back. Aller had been putting the ball at risk against one of the better secondaries that he had played against. So I don't fault Penn State for going for it. It just didn't work out, and it was a bad time to have a bad decision from Aller.
Well, especially, I remember the announcers talking about, is this a situation where you trust? It was like, I think it was a goal line situation. Obviously, they ran it in. But is the things that were probably going through his mind in that big stage? You're hearing all the negativity that comes with you can't win the big one. You want, and it's that tension I talked about that you can have when you have these things that kind of cloud your mind a little bit. If you allow that tension to get you, it's kind of like a wusa yoga thing. There's this thing that you really have to clear your mind. You have to be like the panda. Remember the Kung Fu Panda, where he was had all these things going in, and what was the little mouse name? Was it a mouse?
The old mouse?
Yeah, the old mouse.
Sensei guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the name.
Yeah.
I never actually watched.
You have to kind of be like Uwe, where the little turtle is the first one.
Master Splinter.
Yeah, but he wasn't. That was Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
But you got to be like Uwe. Uwe would just sit there and he'd be like, "Hello, everybody." Just have to have that free mind. You know what I'm saying? There's power with that. And I think he did it. I can sense every time they showed his face, you can sense the frustration, the tension, wanting to get it back, and you can't. And it ultimately cost him.
My last point on this will be, we'll make our Ohio State Texas picks next segment. But my last thing on this game, Strick, is that it felt kind of Nebraska-Iowa-ish. Nebraska gets up. It's a tight game. They allow a score, and then Nebraska has the ball with a chance to go down the field, kick a walk-off field goal on Iowa for once, and then there's a turnover that gives Iowa good field position. Mm-hmm. But again, Strick, where was this like Nebraska? Is that Penn State defense had the chance to hold, right? They had the chance to keep Notre Dame where they were at. If this is an elite defense, I'm sorry it's short field. I'm sorry it's quick turnaround. Turn around and make a play, right?
Yeah.
Nebraska didn't do that against Iowa to end the regular season. They lose on a walk-off field goal. Penn State didn't do it against Notre Dame. They lose a chance to go play for a national championship. Yes, Drew Aller's interception was not a good throw. It was a bad decision. But Penn State, if you're a top 5 defense in the country against a decent, not elite Notre Dame offense, give up 5 yards instead of 19. Make it a longer field goal for a kicker who basically until the last month has forgotten how to put the football through the uprights. Like, credit Mitch Jeter. He's found something that works for him. But Penn State had every opportunity to not let Notre Dame get 19 yards and have a 41-yard field goal.
Gotcha. That's all I can say. Gotcha.
Let's go to break. Let's make our Ohio State Texas picks to wrap up Hour 1.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Ever stare at the Hog Wild menu and feel like you just can't make up your mind because it all looks so good? Well, when I want a little bit of everything, I get a little bit of everything on Hog Wild's Smokestack Sandwich. On a butter-toasted bun, we pile on our hickory smoked beef brisket and juicy hot links. The hard part is choosing between fresh curly fries, classic baked beans, or coleslaw on the side. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see mainly sunny skies with a light breeze and high around 32. Tonight, partly cloudy with light winds. Overnight low in your 15. And tomorrow, we'll see a chance of sprinkles throughout the day. Otherwise, mainly cloudy with a high near 38. Meteorologist Kyle Clucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solution. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Bryant at 402-467-1111 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-1111.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up.
Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
On the block with Strick and Austin.
Wait, pause. I need to know how many games is this again?
100.
100.
100. And even 100.
And Sip. Yeah, bruh. Shut up, Sipple. You can't be saying, listen, you know where I go. What's my spot? They tell me down there, they watch the show and they watch Sip, and they told me to tell Sip, stop saying 100. He don't say it like we say it. You say it again how you say it.
100?
100. He says 100.
What's that mean?
That's what I'm saying.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio, video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
The dangers of secondhand smoke are well known. But what about secondhand aerosol, which is created when using e-cigarettes? Science already shows a secondhand aerosol can contain nicotine, heavy metals, and cancer-causing agents. Eliminating exposure to secondhand aerosol is an important step to keeping everyone safe. Breathe easier knowing the facts.
For help quitting, call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Half of our national championship game is set. The other half will be determined tonight in Stricktown, USA. Cotton Bowl Classic, Ohio State and Notre Dame. Austin Norman, Eric Strickland with you here during On the Block, brought to you by Nepco. Stricky, Ohio State comes in the favorite. Lot of money being put on the Buckeyes to win and to cover in this one tonight. They're playing some better football right now. Do you trust the Will Howard renaissance? Do you trust that Ohio State continues to play at this level? Or do you trust Texas, having been in this same spot last year and playing closer to home? Who you got tonight?
Well, listen, Smith is going to it's got to be between Emeka Egbuka and Smith as to continue the success that they've been having. I think their run game needs to continue. They need to continue to have that balance and the creativity, because Texas is all right defensively. They're pretty stout.
They're good.
They're pretty stout.
Yeah.
So they're just not, it's not going to be an easy win there. I think field position is going to be important as far as who continues to flip field is going to be I think the shorter opportunities are going to be there. I think I like the way that Howard's playing right now. He's been pretty consistent. He's been making good decisions. We've seen Quinn have kind of topsy-turvy. If he has any mistakes, you can't really make mistakes like you could, in some of the other games, in the matchups that they had earlier in the playoffs, and got away with it. And even in last game, not playing very well in the first half, but definitely getting it together in the second half. So I think the balance is going to continue to be key. I think the running game is going to be very important for Ohio State. It's going to open up lanes. It's going to open up opportunities. If they're able to just get downhill with that athleticism and speed from the edges, as well as interior and that power, it's going to be pretty tough. And we saw that can happen. Even Nebraska was able to do it to them. In the game that we played. some dominating in the trenches. If they get dominated in the trenches and they can't run, then it can be a troubling night.
So who you got?
I'm rolling Big Ten, man. It just comes down to that. I'm tired of the SEC. Let's get them out.
Texas still does not feel like an SEC.
Yeah,
they've been acting like one for a while. I still catch myself thinking Texas is in the Big 12 far too often. For me, Strick, this is a big identity game for Ohio State. Have they learned that they're talented enough to dictate the terms of engagement, right? They have that mental advantage over Penn State, but what did they do against Michigan that led to a loss now, 4 years in a row? 3 years in a row at the very least? They tried to play Michigan style to prove a point. We're more talented than you. We're better coached than you. We have better players than you, all that stuff. But we're not going to use it because we want to beat you at your game. Not just about beating you, at how we beat you is important to us. That can't matter tonight. I think we'll learn a lot about Ryan Day, about Chip Kelly, about this program if it finds a way to play its own game, because Texas is going to bring the Michigan game plan. Have an offensive lineman back, have a couple running backs so they're starting to get in rhythm and trust more. And that's a really good Ohio State secondary that, I think will give Quinn Ewers potentially some problems, especially with the good pass rush. Texas is going to want to control clock, is going to want to run the ball, right? None of that.
They got to stay away from the PIs because that's what gets them in trouble too.
The private investigators will get us all. But I do think that if Ohio State remembers it's Ohio State and it plays up to its talent level, I do think this is a 2-possession game in favor of Ohio State. But if the Buckeyes haven't learned and they go back to trying to prove a point, more so than win the game with the talent they have available to them, I see a way Texas makes this really, really interesting and gives us a Texas Notre Dame national championship, especially playing at home. I think there's a lot on the line for the Longhorns.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I got to root for my prediction. I've been on Ohio State all year. You can verify that. My faith wavered. I'm not going to lie, Stricky. I wasn't believing in Ohio State all that strongly toward the end of the regular season.
Well, I can't believe it. You picked them.
I did. You know, I bet on it. So at this point, we're this close. Ohio State, just let me be right once. I guess that's really all I'm asking.
Real quick, the question is do they get above 35 this game? Where they had 42 in their first game against Tennessee and 41 against Oregon. Do they get above 35 in this game? Or is this game look very reminiscent?
Do they know?
Okay, so you think it looks reminiscent of what we saw last night?
I could see like 31-20.
Oh.
Ohio State.
Okay.
That's what I could see. Something in that range. 31-23.
I was going to say 31. I was going to say 31-20. 1 or 20.
Yeah.
24.
Yeah. That's where I'm at with it.
Okay.
So let's keep talking football, except let's shift it to the NFL. Wildcard weekend is this weekend. Got a handful of good games to talk about. Any underdog Strick likes. We know he's the underdog king. We'll get his picks for the weekend, my picks for the weekend, and your thoughts on the NFL weekend that is to come when we get back to On the Block.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Outside is where winter adventure unfolds. On frozen lakes, icy landscapes, and snow-covered slopes. Feeling the cold air rush by as you race downhill. The freedom of gliding with ease and the warmth of being together. From epic sled rides to the fun of ice fishing, it's all right here beneath Nebraska skies. Start your winter adventure at yournebraskaparks.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Associations and this station.
Hey everyone, Lance here with Black Label. We specialize in creating custom crafted decks, pergolas, patio covers, and more. Plus, our retractable screens, gazebos, and patio enclosures create the ultimate outdoor retreat. With over 50 years of combined experience, we're not just builders, we're creators of unforgettable memories.
Call them today at 402-730-6333 or visit blacklabelbuilt.com for a free consultation.
Let's turn your backyard dreams into reality.
Black Label Built, built to serve, built to last.
Ever stare at the Hog Wild menu and feel like you just can't make up your mind because it all looks so good? Well, when I want a little bit of everything, I get a little bit of everything on Hog Wild Smokestack Sandwich. On a butter-toasted bun, we pile on our hickory smoked beef brisket and juicy hot links. The hard part is choosing between fresh curly fries, classic baked beans, or coleslaw on the side. Order online at gohogwild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
It happens. All of a sudden, you need a plumber. Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Problem solved with Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see mainly sunny skies with a light breeze and high around 32. Tonight, partly cloudy with light winds. Overnight low near 15. And tomorrow, we'll see a chance of sprinkles throughout the day. Otherwise, mainly cloudy with a high near 38. Meteorologist Kyle Collector for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Cobble Chevrolet GMC, and we wanted to give a special shout out to all of our great customers, thanking you all for a record-setting year in 2024. Now let's get the new year rolling with some big savings. Right now at Cobble, we have some of the biggest discounts in the area with over $12,000 off list price or 0% APR on select new models. So stop on in the dealership or hit us up online at cobblecars.com to get true low country overhead in action. $12,000 off list or 0% APR right now at Cobble. So please stop on in or visit us at cobblecars.com. You'll be glad you did.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for 3! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by NEPCO. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Last hour of the week for you boys. Austin Norman and Eric Strickland with you here during On the Block, brought to you, as you just heard, by NEPCO. NEPCO
Yes, sir.
Constructors hiring for all positions with immediate job openings for mechanics, laborers, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Join the crew today. Be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. Laborers start at $23 and up based on experience. You can visit nebcoinc.com or constructorslincoln.com to learn more. Stricky, it's a Friday. It's a weird day for it, but NFL football, we got it. It is on the docket. It is on the agenda for the next 4 days. Going to be an interesting set of playoffs, I guess, as I look at these playoffs. I trust the favorites quite a bit, but the playoffs still feel wide open. I'm still trying to figure out what to make of these playoff brackets as the playoffs get underway. But let's just start with you. You're the underdog king. You know what you're about. You like a good, pick yourself up by the bootstrap story, make a run when people counted you out. Any underdogs you like in the NFL playoffs this weekend?
Well, if I'm going to, I'll start with the AFC first. I will go with the AFC and then I'll maybe throw in overall. The matchups look good for me. also don't know how the Chargers situation. It always feels funky with them for some reason. Is there going to be a sophomore slump for Stroud? Is it going to be lessons learned there? You're going to be able to get this home game, so that's always valuable. But I'm going to say the potential upset for me is possibly with the Steelers.
Ooh, okay.
Could you get magic once again out of Russell Wilson?
Could you have a package for Justin Fields
You
to
know
help
what
spark
I mean, yeah. You get into the playoffs and the Ravens, if you can figure out how to just cause Lamar a bunch of problems, not allowing him to use the gift that he has with his feet to be able to at least manage Derrick Henry, and their wide receiver core is not at full strength. So if you can just cause a few mistakes, and that's where the Steelers thrive. They're very good at that. I pressure, speed at the line, coming off the edge. I think they have abilities to collapse pockets. I'm pretty good about their defense and their cornerbacks and safeties. You know, they're pretty good. So I wonder if the same things that we used to say about Penn State and we say about Notre Dame, if this same thing's going to creep his head for the Ravens when you're talking about a quarterback, is he going to be Aller or is he going to be yours? If you're talking college, you know what I mean? That was able to get through some of the things that plays in his head over some of the last playoff performances that he's had. That's been not very good.
I know you're a big ooh guy in some cases. Do you see the Ravens potential not conspiracy, but stat coincidence?
I actually listen.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
You're talking about with the all the symbolizations of is that what you're talking about? The symbols of the like Super Bowl and the color schemes and all that stuff?
No, with the quarterbacks. 24 years ago, Stricky.
Oh no, you gotta break it down. Help
2001. Trent Dilfer was 28 years old and led the Baltimore Ravens to a Super Bowl.
Was how old?
28 years old.
Ooh, okay.
12 years ago, 2013, Joe Flacco,
my boy,
was 28 years old and led the Ravens to a Super Bowl. Now, Lamar Jackson, 28 years old.
Are you willing to put a wager on that?
I'm just saying. Are you trying
to get the guys
something
jumping
about
on
28-year-old quarterbacks?
There's something about it. There's something about it.
You buying? You rolling? Or are you still taking the Steelers?
Listen, the reason for me, and I don't see that there's anything in the cards for this one or in the Terrells, but I've got to feel bad for the Bills.
Before we move on to that game, because we have a text on that one, I just think the Steelers are running out of gas.
Yeah,
I really do. I think teams have caught on to Russ. I think they need to infuse some Justin Fields just for something different. Stricky, the last 4 weeks have gone like this for Pittsburgh. Lost 27-13 to Philly, 34-17 to Baltimore, 29-10 to Kansas City, and 19-17 against the Bengals. They are limping into the playoffs. They are not feeling good about themselves, and they're on the road. I'm not writing Pittsburgh off. I like Tomlin. I think a divisional matchup where you have so much familiarity between teams. Rivalry, like legitimate rivalry. Like, trust me, I see how Pittsburgh could win this game. I just think Baltimore is too much with 28-year-old quarterback stuff aside. I just don't think Pittsburgh has enough in the tank to deal with Baltimore. So that I got Baltimore in this one. Anything on that, or are you moving to the Bills Broncos?
When is the last time that you've seen an absolute sweep in the wild card? Just a sweep. It's been a while. That's why I'm saying I don't see it being the Broncos. If that happens, wow.
So D-Man, no, Strick does not believe in your Broncos.
I don't believe that they're going to beat the Bills. I think it's a bad matchup for them. I think if they were playing the Chargers or they're playing maybe even the Texans, I think I'd give them a good shot.
Okay.
But I just think that the Bills right now are I think they're ready.
Their time?
I think they're ready. Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't talk about my upset pick, though. Chargers over Texans. I know it's the 4-5. It's much less of an upset.
Yeah.
Houston, the vibes are just not the same as they were last year, right? CJ struggling a little bit. Wide receiver injuries certainly haven't helped that. And Houston's one big advantage could be getting to the quarterback. But if Los Angeles is able to stay on schedule to run the ball like they want to with their stable of running backs and then unleash Justin Herbert only when they need to, I mean, that's been one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL basically all year. So I am taking the Chargers to win against Houston, right? I've been impressed with the Chargers, what they've shown so far this year. Houston played a first place schedule. I get it. Not necessarily the easiest road, but I just think the vibes are off in Houston, Strick. I think the Chargers are in a better spot entering the playoffs right now as well. So for me, the upset I'm most confident in pretty much all weekend is Chargers over the Texans.
Okay. Cool. Like it. I'm gonna shift over.
Before we do that, D-Man says, I agree, but Denver beat the Bills with Russ last year for what it's worth. They did. And the more I've read on that matchup, Strick, there's some people that think the Broncos could take a page out of the Lions playbook. Have Bo Nix do some of the same things that Jared Goff did against this Bills defense, find some of those holes in the zone coverage and give Marvin Mims a bit of an opportunity. But I'm with you. I just don't see it happening. So
yeah.
NFC, Stricky, what you got?
On the NFC side, the Bucs are really playing well right now, man. It's tough. I think that if any team could do it, it would be the Commanders, but that's not going to be the upset one for me. I'm going to go Vikings over the Rams. And
is that even an upset?
And well,
is it?
A lot of people would say that's, Sam Darnold struggled in the last game, and they think that the Rams could possibly pick up on that. I just think everything going on off of your routine, neutral site. I just think it gives a better opportunity for the Vikings to be able to take advantage of just all of the chaotic stuff that's going on and looming out there with the Rams and everything going on there. That's kind of how my view is on it.
That's an interesting one because I was on the Rams to begin the year. I mean, Stafford with Kupp and Nakua, I really like. Kyron Williams has been really good. Defense has been okay, not great, but definitely serviceable. I did not see this coming from Minnesota. Not at all. Even with J.J. McCarthy at quarterback instead of Sam Darnold, I didn't see the Vikings making the playoffs. But Kevin O'Connell, to his credit, Stricky, got by far the best out of Sam Darnold, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That is fact.
The pants ended up a little yellow against Detroit. It was not a good look, but I still think Sam Darnold is...
They could have won that game, bro.
They could have.
You go back. I went back and looked at the film. Yeah,
three, four
at least three. I'm talking guys on rub plays that were bucket naked. If you know what to look for and you release it a couple times, I think he over targeted sometimes Jefferson trying to really just keep him. But anyway, I'm off that.
By record, it would be an upset if the Rams win. 10-7 versus 14-3. But again, the Rams have played a pretty darn difficult schedule. They've come out at looking okay, looking solid. Except for the injuries, right? Might have held them down a little bit at the beginning of the year. I really like Stafford. I really like Nakua. Anything they get from Kupp is a bonus. I'm a Kyron Williams guy. But that Vikings defense has been legit behind Brian Flores and his leadership. I like a lot of the pieces there. But I'm a little hesitant to pick Minnesota, Strick, because I've been burned by them too many times, right? You get the Minneapolis Miracle and whatnot with Stephon Diggs. That was a while ago. But even just, was it last year, 2 years ago? Must have been 2 years ago. Vikings had a great regular season record, but they didn't play anyone. And so, they won a lot of one-score games. They didn't necessarily dominate teams. So I like Kevin O'Connell. I like what he's gotten out of Sam Darnold for the most part. I just don't trust this Vikings team, except that the numbers tell me I should trust them, that they are legit, that they're not just beating up on a bad schedule. I mean, they finished one game back in one of the only division in football that sent 3 teams to the playoffs, I want to say. No, I guess the AFC North. No, only had
North
2.
Do it? Yeah.
AFC North had
so.
2.
Yeah.
AFC West only had 2.
I think you're thinking.
Either way, the NFC North was an incredible division this year between the Lions, the Packers, and obviously the Vikings, who we're talking about right now. So I do think the Vikings are more legit. The AFC West. Oh yes, the AFC West has 3 as well. The Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos as well. Thanks, Mud Dog. And we will get to your Packers here in just a sec, but I am still trying to figure out if I can trust Minnesota or not. I'm trying to figure out how much Los Angeles has left in the tank. I hope this is a good game because I can see advantages and disadvantages for both teams.
Yeah, I think I got a little spoiled with this college football playoff. Yeah, I'm just hoping that there's some good games again. Now, the thing when you look at this, too, Austin, to consider, right? The question then becomes, will it be NFC dominant or AFC dominant?
Oh, we're not done with the NFC yet, Stricky. I want to talk about those games.
Oh, you got more.
Too.
Okay.
You buying the Commanders? You buying them? Are you taking Tampa? I got to know. Who are you taking in this one? Because I love this matchup.
I do too. And there's something about me that wants to take the Commanders.
You know what that something is, right? Your boy. Your boy.
Jaden Daniels.
Your boy, specifically your boy. You've been on him. Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels.
Take your victory lap.
And I can't fight the Bucs right now, though. They're actually playing really good football. And I haven't been disappointed right now, ultimately, by the way that Baker Mayfield has played. And is he capable of it? I think when you're talking about a rookie, all of them, this is why it's going to come down to, I think it's going to come down to who flinches and who makes the biggest and worst mistakes or two. So I think it's going to come down to special teams. I think it's going to come down to who wins the turnover margin. I think there's going to be something about this game, and we know that Baker, he would love to get that stench off of his back, from the moves and everybody saying, well, he's not able to do it. I think he would love to do that. And then you've got a young rookie that's looking to kind of follow in what Stroud did and pushing the limits in the playoffs and getting guys excited about what's happening down in DC. So yeah, man, that's a good matchup. It's one that I probably would have chose as a upset, but with everything going on, I had to go to the Vikings.
It comes down to the secondaries for me, Strick. The Bucs get Antoine Winfield back. He's a big difference maker for them at the safety position. Whereas the Commanders are still kind of in hope mode, wait and see mode with Marshawn Lattimore, who's done a pretty darn good job against Mike Evans across the course of his career. A lot of familiarity there between those two as well. If Marshawn Lattimore plays, I think that's a leg up for the Commanders because just like, lengthening a baseball lineup, you can slide a guy down the lineup. That's a lot easier than sliding a guy up the lineup. The secondary depth hasn't been there for Washington. Mike Evans got his 1,000 yards in the end of the regular season. Baker's been really good. I give the nod to Tampa in this one because I just think Washington's maybe a year early, right? I mean, 12-5, that's a really good record, won a lot of one-score games, and maybe that's a skill, but we just don't have enough of a sample size with Dan Quinn, Jaden Daniels, and Cliff Kingsbury specifically to know if, hey, they actually are really good at one-score games, kind of like Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings, who have done a pretty good job of managing those, or if it's they played a pretty weak schedule. It's why they ended up with Jaden Daniels in the draft. They're taking advantage of their schedule, got lucky a couple different times, and that's maybe why their record is 12-5 instead of 9-8 or 10-7. The other game to talk about then, Strick, in the NFC, we got to do this because we know we got the Mississippi Mud Dogs' attention, the Packers. Do you give them any chance against the Eagles, or you liking what you're seeing from Philly right now?
That's a good question. It's a tough question. I actually would like to see the Pack win.
Ooh.
I actually would, my dog. I would actually like to see the Pack win this game. But freaking Philly's D, man. Like
they're
I mean, I'm not even overly sold on their O, but their O is, listen, Saquon, tremendous. Do you think, Mississippi Mud Dog, that the Packers can pack things in against Saquon, keep him in check? Because Saquon's a dual threat. He's not just in the run game. He's out of the backfield, too. So he's Christian McCaffrey 2.0, especially in McCaffrey's absence pretty much throughout this year. He probably is the best running back this year with that being the case. So how is Jalen gonna play? How
coming off a concussion? Is
right?
he rusty like Mud Dog said?
There you go, man. So I'm rooting for the Pack. I just don't know if it's enough this year.
Mud Dog says the Pack got 2 of Jalen Hurts' 5 interceptions this year in the first matchup. More to come this weekend. I was going through Bill Barnwell's playoff preview for ESPN. At the time he wrote it, he didn't know which quarterbacks were going to suit up. Obviously, Jalen Hurts was made available today. Jordan Love, I guess we're still in wait and see mode. My guess is that he plays, but he obviously won't be 100%. An elbow injury is not exactly what you're going for. Of course, the first game of the year for both these teams was down in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Philly wins at 34-29. Philly hasn't turned the ball over at that same rate basically since then. The defense has certainly gotten better. But here's the thing, Strick. The Packers defense leads the league in total QBR allowed this season. The Eagles are third in expected points added per play allowed on defense. Less than 1/100th of a point behind them is Green Bay. Your number 3 and your number 4 defenses in the entire league by expected points allowed are facing off in this matchup. The first game of the year featured some big plays. A.J. Brown, 67-yard touchdown. But here's the thing, Strick. That is the last play of over 40 yards that Green Bay allowed all season. Since they got back to the United States, Green Bay has not allowed a single play of 40 yards or more, which Philly's kind of dependent on. Whether it's Brown, whether it's Devontae Smith, whether it's Saquon Barkley, Philly's offense can get kind of stuck in neutral at times. So it's an offense that requires some of those big plays to snap out of it. Flip side of that is Josh Jacobs has been good, but maybe not as good as the numbers would lead you to believe. So where do the Packers go when they need a spark? Christian Watson. Well, just last week, what happened to Christian Watson, Stricky? Leg injury. He's done for the year. He's not going to be playing. I think that is a huge loss for Green Bay, whereas Philly still has its full complement of weapons available to it. The other thing that Bill Barnwell said, the book to slow down Love this season has been to blitz. He went 6-12 for 38 yards against Philly's blitzing in Brazil. His QBR dropped from 6th without opposing teams blitzing to 19th against extra pressure. Defenses have noticed as he has been the league's most blitz quarterback. Continuing on in that article, the Eagles, though, don't really blitz. They send extra rushers just 20% of the time, the 5th lowest rate in the league. They have a great front four, which allows them to control the line of scrimmage with their pass rush, but Fangio likes to drop into coverage and trust that he can win with his defensive line. Nothing wrong with that philosophy, but it might not be the best fit for beating Green Bay. There's a lot there to break down. There's a lot of interesting chess matchups, I think, in this one. Pure talent, I go Philly. I really do. That is one of the best rosters in the league. I didn't like the vibes there last year. Seems like most heads are screwed on straight right now. But Tricky, Bill Barnwell says the Packers have enough to go to the Super Bowl based on how he shakes the bracket out. I don't know if I'm buying that. I'm not shocked if Green Bay wins. I don't think it's 34-29. I think it's maybe a little more high scoring than Barnwell says at 19-17. I just trust the Eagles just a little bit more than the Packers right now, who still, I don't think, have beat a single team with a winning record this year. You know, that's a problem for me. You just get done losing to the Bears. You get swept by the Lions, you get swept by the Vikings. Not that Green Bay was uncompetitive. Don't get me wrong. But at some point, you got to prove you can win these games. And usually you win 1 or 2 of these in the regular season before you get to the postseason. I'm not writing Green Bay off. I think it's going to be a good game. And as the Mud Dog says, hey, the last time Green Bay went to the Super Bowl, it started with a road win in Philly. I'm just not gutsy enough to pull the trigger on the Pack.
Well, there it is. Old Dad 34 says on the Sutter Haven text line, I just got on the app. So did y'all pick who y'all think is going to win tonight? And he could be talking about the Texas and Ohio State game. There you go.
We did.
You got a response.
We did. Stricky picked Ohio State. I also picked Ohio State. So that is where we are with that. And Mud Dog does point out that, okay, the Packers did beat the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Texans. My bad, but that's still 3 of their 11 wins came against teams with winning records, and none of those teams are exactly looked at as powerhouses. So, again, I don't want to discredit the Packers. I think they're an interesting team. I think they have a good handful of pieces there, but, man, I just think so much rests on Jordan Love, and I just like Philly's depth more. So, once again, Strick, just your biggest overall, you feel the most confident in which underdog in Wild Card Weekend?
In the overall, I'm going to say Vikings.
Saying the Vikings?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm saying the Chargers against the Texans. So we will certainly see how that plays out. We'll go to break. When we get back, 16 players for Husker football out of the transfer portal already.
Dang!
It's a lot. What does it mean? Could there be more to come? What does that say about the direction of the program under Matt Rule? We'll get into that as we continue on the block.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Make the 2025 deer season your best yet. Come to the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo Friday, January 17th through Sunday, January 19th. Check out the hunting seminars, browse the hunting and outdoor exhibits, sign up for the 360 blind giveaway, compete in the Big Buck and Monster Shed contest, try the 3D shoot and more. Get tickets at the door. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 17th through the 19th at the Sandhills Global Event Center. 84th and Havelock in Lincoln, presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Cobble Chevrolet GMC, and we wanted to give a special shout out to all of our great customers, thanking you all for a record-setting year in 2024. Now let's get the new year rolling with some big savings. Right now at Cobble, we have some of the biggest discounts in the area with over $12,000 off list price or 0% APR on select new models. So stop on in the dealership or hit us up online at cobblecars.com to get true low country overhead in action. $12,000 off list or 0% APR right now at Cobble. So please stop on in or visit us at cobblecars.com. You'll be glad you did.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
It happens. All of a sudden, you need a plumber. Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Problem solved with Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Ever stare at the Hog Wild menu and feel like you just can't make up your mind because it all looks so good? Well, when I want a little bit of everything, I get a little bit of everything on Hog Wild's Smokestack Sandwich. On a butter-toasted bun, we pile on our hickory smoked beef brisket and juicy hot links. The hard part is choosing between fresh curly fries, classic baked beans, or coleslaw on the side. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see mainly sunny skies with a light breeze and high around 32. Tonight, partly cloudy with light winds. Overnight low near 15. And tomorrow, we'll see a chance of sprinkles throughout the day. Otherwise, mainly cloudy with a high near 38. Meteorologist Kyle Collector for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is On the Block, 93.7 Ticket and theticketfm.com, brought to you by Nepco. I want to shout out our friends at Good Sense as well. Good Sense Fridays. They come through for us every Friday. Rain, snow, sun, sleet, whatever's going on outside, wind, Good Sense.
Sorry, Bach.
5. Yeah, Stricky's here today. So.
Yeah, Bach, I had to go in today, my boy. I
Can't resist.
I couldn't leave the good sense alone today. It was quite filling.
Quite good.
Quite good.
Sensical. 5 Lincoln locations. Make sure you check them out if you don't have separate plans tonight or at some point over the weekend. We're talking transfer portal here at Stricky. 16 members so far for Nebraska in the transfer portal. Evan Bland, who we talked to a couple days ago, said he wouldn't be shocked if Nebraska gets that number up closer to even 20. So darn near a 1-to-1 ratio of incoming high school players and transfer portal players. And man, that does not sound like the Matt Rule we were promised, right? The developmental program, get guys in your system, identify these under the radar gems, bring them in, work with them, then they develop into all conference players. Is this Matt Rule, taking a shortcut, trying to do a quick fix? Or is this Matt Rule adjusting to the times and saying, hey, this is what we have to do in this day and age? Is it an adjustment more so than a panic move?
I think Matt Rule got hit with a little bit of reality. And not that the pattern can't work. Mm-hmm. I venture to say that you probably wouldn't seen a heavy dose of transfer portal activity out of Matt Rule if they go 8-5. Right? If where they were, if they don't fall off the freaking wagon the way that they did, and you started seeing a shift in pressers, in press conferences, all that stuff, you started to kind of see a shift of the language of the questions and some of those things, i.e., similar to what happened with Coach Hoiberg. There were major adjustments that needed to be done, and you saw those happen by way of the DCNA, the OC. So I think he wants to. I think he's trying to pull both. I think he's trying to give a true assessment, because I think the expectations are higher than what he had hoped in year 3. I venture to say that I bet he would have hoped to not have to do and pull the trigger the way that he is until next year. Like I think that he wanted to see a steady progression. I think everybody that's listening, even us here, would have felt if he would have went 8-5 this year, you would have you'd been okay. Like you wouldn't be having all types of crazy thoughts and questions and laying things out and saying to him all kinds of things like about, hey, people looking at you side-eyed and stuff like that. I think you would have probably had a different look. Therefore, I can understand him pulling, but he's going to have to make major decisions. Unfortunately, there's going to be people that are going to go,
bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Unfortunately, we've seen that. Now, the question then becomes, is 16 too much? And then to your listening, 402-464-5685, is 16 too much to pull out of the transfer portal? Like, let's be real. I did a check. And Nwari is he's one of the top 10 that some people are saying in the transfer portal gets.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you're glad to go out there and get. You have some needs to address. You didn't feel great about Nayar and Banks. I can understand you going out there and getting it done. You have a thick tight end room. Like Make some decisions there. Areas that I think you're addressing because of depth issues, the secondary. And you found some, you were able to turn some linebackers off and, bring some in. You weren't able to move them up the ranks. Right. That's where you're hoping Van Poppel and guys like that who have now been in are starting to kind of turn the corner, and you can start not having to worry about those transfer portal addressing issues, and you can work internally to address those issues. You just, we didn't really have anybody outside of Ty Robinson who gave you flashings and gleams of it. You didn't really see. I mean, you saw it from the cornerback position out of Sierra a little bit, but no one really. You're saying it's like Carter. He's a dominant figure at the position,
right?
You know what I mean? I don't think in any position right now this year you can say that it was a bunch of balance, and this is why you can see the record came out the way that it did. Somebody's going to have to emerge in, whether it be from the quarterback position, running back position, tight end position, receiver position, defense, linebacker position, edge position. Somebody else comes up in the interior D of the line. Somebody out of that secondary. Somebody emerge and say, I'm him. You know what I mean? That when a play needs to be made, you're either going away from me, or if you even risk coming this way, you got trouble. Right?
Let's go to the text line here. A couple interesting things. We'll start with BJ in Wichita. This is just Matt Rule adjusting with the times. He has a whole new coaching staff than what he started with as far as coordinators. I think the fans are the ones who will have a hard time adjusting to Nebraska being a heavy transfer portal program. Now, there are light transfer portal teams. And then there are transfer portal teams, right? It's just kind of the day and age. I'm kind of with BJ on that one.
Like Notre Dame had two important, Leonard and then the kicker, who made plays for them to win when it mattered. So,
and that goes to Mississippi Mud Dog's text. He says 16 is too many transfers if you are just bringing in guys to bring them in. If they are upgrades, which I think Rule believes they are, then no, it isn't too much. Let's just say that Nebraska is done at 16, which again, I don't think they are, but let's just say that they're at 16. Not all 16 are going to hit, Strick. If you hit on 4, that's a really disappointing class. If you hit on 12, oh my gosh, you did someone super right.
Yeah.
I think you got to hit on 8 of them. And then it comes down to which guys do you think can make the biggest impact or need to be the ones that are hits. I think getting production from Williams-Nwaneri would go a really long way there on the defensive line. I think if you
tackle.
Look at, okay, let's go to Elijah Pritchett at tackle. Yes, got to have him be an instant impact guy, not just a guy that's on the field, but an impact player. I look at the long snapper and the punter. Probably got to get contributions from those two guys. Okay, that's just kind of a baseline level of, okay, that's the bare minimum you can get out of the transfer portal. You got to hit on, you bring in Isaiah Hunter, Dane Key, and Hardly Gilmore as wide receivers
One
right
of them.
now. Probably 2.
I'd like to hit, I'm just saying, 2. If I hit on one and then the other is solid, I think you're good. You've shown that you could have, I hear what you're saying, but out of the transfer portal, hitting on 2 at the receiver position, like we had that happen before. You hit on
1,
which was Trey Palmer, and then you hit on
Teray.
You see what I'm saying?
Did you hit on did you hit on Jamal Banks?
I don't think you did, but some will say different. I think he was solid, but I don't think when it mattered, either of them showed up when it really, really mattered. That's just my thought. Especially in the red zone. Red zone, you struggle. Who's gonna in the red zone gonna be the guy you could look at Penn State and say, oh yeah, I know where they're going. Warren.
Tyler Warren.
You know what I'm saying?
Or their run game.
Right? Who is that gonna be? I don't think we can rely on anybody. We didn't know where it was gonna come from. You was happy as y'all was happy as I ain't gonna say what you was happy. There's some I was about to. This would have been some WTF after dark type action.
So
you feel me?
At the very least, we are at
4.
At 4. Yeah. We're at 5 with if you get hit from one receiver.
Right.
There's 5. You got to hit on at least one if not DBs. 2. I would say linebackers first.
Okay.
Because Shavers played well in the bowl game, but still wasn't proven. He's got to take a leap. You lose Bullock, you lose Bayer,
But
you lose Thompson.
He's not a transfer guy, though, right?
Shavers?
No. Is he?
No, he's not.
Okay, so
But I'm
he's a
just saying-
foundation guy.
I'm just saying.
So if you
but
hit on
but is he a foundation guy? You want to think he is, but he hasn't played like it yet. You know? You still don't know what you have in Vincent Shavers.
True.
So I think you need Marquise Watson-Trent to come in, Sunbelt Defensive Player of the Year, and be good right away.
From Southern
Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern, yeah.
That gets you to 6. I think Dasan McCullough is a guy that we haven't talked enough about just because of the timing of his commitment. That's a guy that I think can be what Nebraska fans wanted Javen Wright to be. And I know he's back for another year, but I think McCullough has the athletic potential to be that playmaker in the middle of the defense, whether it's as a linebacker or taking over for Gifford as a rover. I think McCullough's special. I think you got to hit on him. That gets you to 7 right there.
Do you look internally on the interior defense for another guy, or do you turn it over to Van Poppel and hope that he's able to be what Ty Robinson and Hushmaker was to you? Do you go get one more on the interior D?
I think it's pretty hard to do that at this point. You have Nawarni on the edge. You have Jalen George and Gabe Moore as the interior defensive guys. George is probably a year away. Project probably needs to redshirt, get up to speed. Gabe Moore hasn't played in a while due to injuries in redshirt. So I don't think counting on either of those two guys for contributions is necessarily wise for next season. Anything you get from the defensive line, not from Nawarni, from the transfer portal specifically, is a hit. And then, Strick, I think you do have to hit on at least one of the defensive backs, right? Whether it's the first one they got in the class was Justin Rhett, who's more of a safety from Georgia, whether it's Andrew Marshall as a cornerback or as a returner. I think that goes a long way. Or, of course, the most recent addition, Marquise Groves-Killebrew, as a pretty true corner. You get contributions from one of those 3 guys in 2025, and you're feeling pretty good about the transfer portal class. So 9887 says, hitting on 4 is a good thing if you ask me. That's roughly 20% of the 22 starters. I'm not saying that, Nebraska is not going to get contributions from other guys. I'm talking about not just starters, but good contributions from these guys, whether they're starters or rotational pieces. You can't just have 4 guys make meaningful contributions, right?
Yeah.
If you only have 4, I don't know if Nebraska wins 6 games next year, right? Unless there are huge leaps from guys inside the program. The guys Nebraska got out of the transfer portal, for the most part, are more proven than the guys that they would be, jumping over on the depth chart, right? Those guys on the depth chart absolutely deserve the chance to compete, to put in the work in the winter and in the spring and then into fall camp to give themselves a shot to play. But given the caliber of players that Nebraska got, I mean, this is one of the top transfer classes in the Big Ten by pretty much every rating system. I'm not saying that all those 8 guys that we threw out there have to be starters, but you have to get positive contributions from more than just 4. Otherwise, that's a lot of swings and misses, or you're pushing back, this class another year, which if you want to keep proving that you're moving in the right direction as a program, you can't afford to kick the can down the road another year. You got to get contributions, like significant contributions from more than 4 of these guys in 25, if you ask me, Strick.
Well, on top of that, man, you're actually picking up a lot of not one and dones, not serviceable henchmen.
Right.
You're picking up guys that have 2 to 3 years. So
in a lot of cases,
in essence, you're looking for some seasonability in their play, and that tells me you're not fully sold on what you have in your recruiting classes, because you're actively looking for guys with multi-year opportunity. That's gonna nullify, because you got to get to the 105. So it's gonna nullify your pulling in of guys that you got in there right now. Guys like in that tight end room is stacked. Like, you're gonna have to let some of that go if you're gonna get down the number. I mean, you could have almost 8 guys in there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you probably got to let one.
You're gonna have to
them
trim
go.
fat somewhere.
Well, I think you get rid of a specialist, probably. I mean, you have 3 kickers on the roster right now: John Hull, Nico Adamanelli, and Tristan Alvano. Probably don't need 3 kickers.
No.
Better not need 3 kickers.
No.
2 punters makes sense, right? You got to have a backup guy on there, but can you convert one of your guys into a punter kicker and save a roster spot that way? I don't know. But you went out and got a transfer punter in Jack McAllister over Camden Cook, who was a young guy, right? Who just got to campus last year. But for as important as special teams are, you can't afford to waste spots there, Stricky.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're gonna have to trim fat. What rooms are heavy? Which rooms are fat? That's the decision. You're not going to be able to retain everybody. You don't have the luxury as you did before to be able to stack and pack and stack. So where 402-464-5685, where do you guys envision that some of the trimming of the fat comes from?
Let's go to break. Let's talk about a little bit of that. And Money G in Kansas wants us to look back at last year. How did Nebraska do in last year's transfer portal class? We'll get into that to wrap up On the Block.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solutions. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
League One Volleyball is bringing the action to Omaha with Omaha's first serve on January 24th at 7 p.m. Central Time at the Liberty First Credit Union Arena. Witness history in the making as Love Omaha Volleyball takes on Love Madison in the team's inaugural home match. Be there to watch Olympic teammates Jordan Larson and Lauren Carlini go head-to-head in a battle of the world's best. Visit LOVBOMA.com for tickets starting at $31. Volleyball is the next major league.
It happens. All of a sudden, you need a plumber. Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Problem solved with Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Load up on meat and more this winter at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through January 14th is $2 off beef jerky, $2 off ready-to-eat meals, and 20% off all candy. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Join us Friday, January 10th as the Lincoln Stars host USA Hockey National Team Development Program for Star Wars Night at the Ice Box. It's the first of two games this weekend, January 10th and 11th, as the Stars take on the U7 teams in a pair of games at the Ice Box. Don't forget to join us on Saturday as well, as it's Buddy Pass Night in the capital city. Tickets for both games are available for purchase now, and you can head over to LincolnStars.com.
Outside is where winter adventure unfolds. On frozen lakes, icy landscapes, and snow-covered slopes, feeling the cold air rush by as you race downhill. The freedom of gliding with ease and the warmth of being together. From epic sled rides to the fun of ice fishing, it's all right here beneath Nebraska skies. Start your winter adventure at yournebraskaparks.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Associations and this station.
Make the 2025 deer season your best yet. Come to the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo Friday, January 17th through Sunday, January 19th. Check out the hunting seminars, browse the hunting and outdoor exhibits, sign up for the 360 blind giveaway, compete in the Big Buck and Monster Shed contest, try the 3D shoot and more. Get tickets at the door. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 17th through the 19th at the Sand Hills Global Event Center, 84th and Havelock in Lincoln. Presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back one final time here during On the Block. This was the crossover segment brought to you by our friends at League One Volleyball Omaha. They begin their inaugural season January 24th at Liberty First Credit Union Arena in Ralston. Get your tickets online at lovb.com. You'll see former Huskers Jordan Larson, Justine Wong-Arantes, Maddie Kubik, Lauren Stivrins, and Lexi Rodriguez in action. We're just going to go to the text line here. Lots of good stuff from you guys there. We'll start with a text from my dad. He says, good show. Thanks, Dad. You're exactly right that you need 8 or more transfers to hit, not just for on-field performance, but also regarding NIL. You can't afford too much dead money from NIL, similar to how pro teams can't afford to waste cap space. That's just the thing, Strick. Nebraska's, it's going to be different in the revenue sharing versus the NIL era, right? It's a different sort of world. But as we get into this revenue sharing, it's going to be interesting to see how guys get compensated. If it is, best players get paid more, lower tier, lower depth chart players get paid less. If everyone gets the same amount, and then anything extra comes from sponsorship deals. But regardless of what kind of your business you're in, you don't want to just be sinking money into something you're not getting production from. That is just business 101. It's the same thing when it comes to a football roster.
Well, that's been the problem, I think, with the NIL situation. I think they've been paying. Like, I think they got a little bit of understanding of it, but not fully. I still think that when you're judging, you're judging the talent prior to them showing and proving. You're knowing there's an adjustment period. There's a leg up. And not everybody is Kobe Bryant. Not everybody is Kevin Garnett. Not everybody is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or anybody that came in, Moses Malone, that came in, even Jermaine O'Neal, but it still takes time.
Yeah.
You can go look at every one of them. I think KG was even a better step into the position even before Kobe. But you saw it in Kobe. You knew, but it didn't necessarily have Dirk even. It took Dirk time too. I mean, I got to see him personally. Right? Who?
LeBron.
You know what? I got to give him credit to be a rookie. He came in, but he definitely was a man child. Couldn't shoot to save his life, but he grew. He grew. I got to give him credit. He probably was even ahead of KG.
Big
so good. That's a good call. I give him credit for that. Now, the same thing is when you're unloading all of this NIL money up front without getting if you've seen, what's the movie? Say hello to my little friend. Help, y'all know it. Anyway, one of the things that they used to do is
Scarface,
right?
Yep.
Whenever hightail drug dealers, they go in and they dip their little pinky finger and they test it. Whatever they do, they test the product. These teams haven't been testing the product, Austin. They haven't been testing. They're basically just saying. And Spitzer Rattler is one that I would say you missed on that one, my boy, because Caleb Williams came right in and whoop. But you got to test the product with Caleb. Caleb, you didn't have to go way out ahead of your skis before you did. Right. And wherever so Jordan Addison, you got to test the product. You got to see what came out of it when it was up in Pitt. And then, okay, now you pay him. Test the product first before you start jumping out there over your skis. That's the way I say.
Sanderson says Nebraska has 30 DBs. There's got to be some potential to trim the fat.
That's a good one.
You can't carry 30 DBs in a 105 roster world. And Sanderson, I did text you back on this, but let's address it on air too. you do need a lot of defensive backs, right? I mean, you're playing
Well, if you're
5 of them
3-3-5.
at any
Yeah.
given time, plus the guys that you want to carry for special teams in those various units. Yes, you'll have to cut it down from 30. But what's not going to change is the defensive backs are still going to take up a large portion of the roster. No, you can't allocate basically 1/3 of your roster to DBs, but you do need a lot of them, Strick. I mean, it's a volatile position. There's a lot of injuries at that position as well. So you can't get away with carrying, 12. You got to have 15 to 20, probably 15, I would say, to be safe.
I think 20 is getting up there, but yeah, I think you need a good, because you need foundational pieces, as you said. Because you're thinking about it for a first and second team, that's already 10.
Yeah.
If you're still
On the
going with a 2 deep, you're still going with the 3-3-5.
That's
you're
20 on your 70-man
already.
travel roster.
Yeah, you're already there. So
let's go ahead and pause 10 quick seconds for station identification here on 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Then, Strick, to wrap up, I think we just go to Money G in Kansas. His question: how many of last year's recruits were a mistake? Number one, let's not be calling players mistakes, right? I think that's fair to them. You hit on some, you miss on others, just kind of the way of the world, how it goes. I assume you mean the transfer portal here, Money G, based off our previous discussion. But, Strick, let's just go through the list of guys that Nebraska landed out of the transfer portal. I just have the on-3 list pulled up here for 2024. Isaiah Nair, hit or miss?
I can say he was fine. Hit.
Bly Hill, hit or miss?
Miss.
That's TBD for me. Didn't get contributions from him last year, but worthy flyer to take a guy adjusting from the FCS level. Jamal Banks, hit or miss?
Shaky.
And see, I thought Nair was shakier than Banks.
I think overall, but I think he even made a little bit more
Nair,
late Banks to me came on. Late. Nair early.
I think you hit a single with Nair. I think you hit a double with Banks.
Okay. I can't even fault you on that.
Stephon Thompson.
Still out there. Oh.
He's in the portal.
Out of there. Miss.
Micah Mizuka.
Okay.
I think he was a sack fly.
Yeah. Okay.
Dante Dowdell.
Okay. Only because he just stylistically, I listen, if he was at Ohio State, probably a hit. I just think stylistically with his running style and the blocking style for Nebraska, he didn't have great vision. It wasn't that he was a good running. It wasn't good. I just don't think he fit what the style was for Nebraska.
Vince Genatone.
Definitely a miss. I don't know who that is.
Transfers from Montana. That was a guy who went to high school in North Platte. Played some special teams for Nebraska, but didn't get on the field. There, scrolling through the list. Yep, there's Genatone again. Jalen Gramstad.
Still yet to be seen. Good depth guy, probably a good guy in the locker room. But I think going forward, we'll probably see a little bit more with the moving, obviously, of Kalen, and then with the shifting of, you'll probably get a better idea on that one.
I think Gramstad did exactly what you asked him to. Didn't contribute on the field, but did exactly what you wanted him to, holding clipboard, mentoring Dylan Raiola. I'm going to give him credit for a hit. And that one, it's a, kind of a pity hit, but it's a hit nonetheless. And then Sierra Wright.
I'd say it's a hit.
Not bad. We're about 50% there, right? Sierra Wright was probably the best of that group in terms of the additions. Jamal Banks certainly had a role to play. Nair had his moments. Dowdell had his moments. Not a lot from transfers defensively there, Strick, which is where there's a lot of focus on transfers to replenish the defense in this cycle, because you like a good chunk of the young core that you have together offensively, but it's the defense that's losing a lot of guys to the portal and graduation. So again, if Nebraska is going to hit, if Nebraska needs to get 8 hits, at least 4, if not 5 of them, I think have to come on defense.
Defensive side. And we saw what the impact of that can be for an Ohio State, getting a guy like Downs.
Oof.
That's one guy.
He's good.
And he's a major impact on what that defense is. But you also saw, which we discussed here on the block, the importance of those foundational pieces. They're 5-year guys, 5-year guys, 5-year guys, 4-year guys. Those guys being in there and being together with a couple of additions out of the portal. Yeah, they set themselves up really nicely.
Last thing then, Swift from Lincoln on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line says, overall, I really thought Rule and company would find better talent. Nebraska just looks slow, and the only all-conference player has been Ty Robinson, who Matt Rule didn't even find. How do you assess the talent level for Nebraska under Matt Rule compared to your expectations? That's a tough one.
It's a tough one. I'm in the middle. Like this is an important one for me. It's tough when no one really knows. They know you, but they don't know your vision. Now you've kind of got some track record on things that you've done. You've got your history, but now they've got a chance to see what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. You know they got a good quarterback, so there's the potential of landing guys, which you were able to do, and new defensive coordinator now. Remember that kick the can down the road situation. How much leeway is the fans and the listeners and those who are watching going to give the defensive side a little bit leeway to make adjustments to getting the type of guys he wants, not necessarily with Tony White. Tony White was beneficiary of guys that were able to stay. He was able to keep guys because of what he envisioned and he showed that he was capable of doing. He was able to keep guys, and therefore now we get to see what the next cycle is, and we see him active on that side of things. So we'll see.
Talent evaluation is tricky enough for people who do it professionally, let alone, Stricky has an eye for it, but I'm just a Yahoo, just kind of go off what my eyes tells me. There's a part of me, Strick, that says Nebraska has upgraded talent. Making a bowl game tells you, hey, they must have gotten a little bit better somewhere. You look at some of the names, you look at some of the pedigrees, some of the plays that are being made. Yeah, my gut tells me Nebraska probably is a little more talented, but however you distill talent. And yet they still only got to 6-6, which tells me that it feels like Nebraska has quite a ways to go to improve the roster to get anywhere back to where Husker fans want it to be. But again, then you start looking at some of these ads out of the transfer portal. There's talent in that class, legitimate talent, some production in there as well, and that goes a long way. But at some point, there has to be enough talent with enough coaching that goes above and beyond maybe what the talent level is, right? Ohio State is probably playing up to its talent level. And maybe that's all a team can do. But I think, Strick, throughout history, we see there are teams that have good enough talent and good enough coaching that might not be elite talent or elite coaching that go above and beyond maybe what prognostications would tell you. If one person has one prediction, another person has another prediction, okay, you have your one-off. Some people can think this, they'll be right, they'll be wrong. But generally speaking, it seems like the recruiting rankings and people that look at rosters seem to think Nebraska has, top 30 or top 25 talent. Nebraska still finished in the mid-60s if you look at their record, 6-6 and 7-6, which tells me either the talent isn't as good as people think it is, or Nebraska is still underperforming, and how much of that is a missing talent evaluation versus squandered talent because of maybe lackluster coaching. That, to me, is the trickiest part in figuring all this out.
That's the tricky part, and that's the part that I think you're going to get a better opportunity in weighing those scales next year.
I'm with you on that. Swift from Lincoln, again, appreciate the text. Old Dad 34, you guys are becoming my favorite show alongside We Don't Care Who Other Show. No, just kidding. We appreciate it, Old Dad. You've been a more regular texter on the show. Appreciate hearing from you, your thoughts here on our conversation. As well as the rest of you blockheads, 402-464-5685 is always the number you can get in contact with the show. Thanks to Starter Heyman Jewelers for that, as well as our comment section. Heard from VJ and Justin Rogge over there on YouTube as well. Been a great week. Thanks to Nebco for their sponsorship. Thanks to Good Sense for the sandwiches on Friday.
Big games this week.
Big football games. Nebraska, Purdue on Sunday, 11 o'clock Central Tip. I'll be here for post game after that one. Didn't get into that much, but hey, guess what? Corner 3 tonight. Come back with me at 6. We'll talk about it a little bit there. He's Strick. I'm Austin. Appreciate you guys tuning in to On the Block. Don't go anywhere, though. 93.7 The Ticket rolls along. Got Old School coming up in just a sec.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Cobble Chevrolet GMC, and we wanted to give a special shout out to all of our great customers, thanking you all for a record-setting year in 2024. Now let's get the new year rolling with some big savings. Right now,